Kia ora and welcome to Wahine, a podcast celebrating wahine in business who are carving their own path with intention, courage and vision. This is Wahine Legacy Leadership. Kia ora Justine and welcome back to the podcast. Over the last time since we spoke on the podcast, which I think was back in 2022, there's been a lot of moves in your business and in my business. So over here on the podcast, as you know, we've gone through this rebrand. When you were last on the podcast, it was Business Your Way. And now the podcast is called Wahine. It's a space where we amplify the voices of women in business and share what goes on in our hearts and our minds behind the door, behind the curtains, so to say. So wanting to uncover the deep thoughts that business owners have that isn't the highlight reel of social media.
I love that.
So the last time that we recorded, your world looked quite different. You were running your VA and our conversation centered around team culture, delegation, and the work of building support around you. And since then, you've stepped into the lever, which I love that name. So a lot has changed for you, but I think not just on the surface. I think how you lead, how you hold space, how you think about this next season of your life and your business is quite different to our last conversation. So that is what I want to jump into today with you on the podcast, to trace your evolution so that we can sit in those moments where you asked more of yourself and you had to explore the woman that you wanted to become and how you were stepping into that becoming. So I would love to start there. So last time we focused on building strong teams and leadership culture. So since then, you've gone through this evolution as a founder. So how would you describe the shift between then and now, between your VA and the lever?
Huge and hard. So the shift has been from builder to steward. When we last spoke, I was still very much in the construction phase. I was building my systems, building my team, building the structure. Now I'm holding space for something bigger than I could build alone. And that's been a real journey. I used to measure my value and talking to my Your VA journey by how much I could do. As part of this journey, developing the lever, I now measure it by what I'm not doing. And it sounds simple, but it's been a complete unwiring of my identity. So I've had to learn that being less central, it doesn't mean being less valuable. It's the opposite.
That's a massive shift. Like that, it's a shift in the way you're thinking and how you're measuring success, which
yes.
And how did you get there? How did you move that mind shift from measuring how busy you were to what you're not doing? Like, I feel they're at opposite ends of the spectrum.
I know. And we started this transition to the lever. It was just going to be a simple renaming of your VA. And it's turned into 18 months of a journey of discovery. So the lever now helps form a me. You know, that person's stuck in the weeds. You're sitting here and you're managing a team. The lever, we help create businesses that work for you, not because of you. And that's been very much the case for me as well. So a huge shift, possible because I've got the structure, finally got the right leadership team who could give me the space to go through this discovery and to really, like, we had our core values at UVA, and they're the same core values now, but we live them. They leak into my personal life. They are who we are, and that's everything.
I love that. Values in motion.
Yeah.
Let's back up just a little bit to give our listeners a bit of context around what does the lever do and what is different about the lever than your VA. You know, what is the evolution in services, in business model, and differences? Are they two different businesses, or are they literally an evolution?
They weren't meant to be two different businesses. We did an element of what we do at the Lever through your VA. And I know we worked with you in the past through Business Operations Manager, helping set up systems from that top level. But we were known as your VA, a team or an agency of virtual assistants and specialists, which meant our clients delegated to us, but we had no place at the leadership seat. You know, we weren't proactively guiding strategy. So that's been a huge shift. We've shifted from being reactive to proactive, from giving clients their time back to giving clients their life back, which I'm passionate about, through creating businesses that run without them.
That is so
managing
powerful.
businesses, Dan Sullivan would say.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is so powerful. You know, going from giving business owners their time back to actually giving them their life back.
Yes.
And you could say they are one and the same thing, because if you get time back, then you've got more time in your life to do other things. But there's an actual mindset shift. That moves you away from thinking about, I'm just getting more time in my day, to actually, I'm getting time to live my life as I choose.
Yes. With a business that supports that, but doesn't clash against that. Because we've all been on holiday and, you know, that urgent project pops up, you know, middle of the flight, and you spend your first day dealing, you know, putting out fires. You can go on holiday while you're a manager, but you're on. I think if you're a leader, you can switch off, and that's when all those great ideas come into your head, you know, when you are switched off, when you're not thinking about fires to put out, but you're thinking about what's next, you're looking forward.
Yes, I would agree with that. Like, in my agency, the only time I could really switch off was over the Christmas holiday, which was fabulous because everyone else was on holiday. So you got to be on holiday. The events world nothing really happened in that time. So it could be 3 or 4 weeks where you could completely switch off. And that makes such a difference to a business owner, to free up that headspace, to actually move out of that reactive mode, like you said, and, you know, stop putting out fires, to just have spaciousness to think about what next.
And my challenge is, why wait till Christmas?
Yeah.
Why not have a business that gives you that freedom all the time? I'm not
Yes.
saying you don't work. I work my butt off, but I'm in a different role.
Love that. So your VA was already known as a really successful agency. I think the last time we spoke, you had 35 virtual assistants in your team, and they were all engaged with clients. Like,
Yeah.
it's a chunky size business.
Yeah. What an
So
idiot. Move on.
So I'm interested to know, like, what was the point where you realized that that model and the pace of that business or the expectations of that business were no longer aligned to the leader that you were becoming?
I read on holiday, I think it was in 2022, I read Dan Sullivan's book, 10 Times is Easier Than 2 Times. And it was like the book was written for me. You know, you read a book and you just see yourself in the pages. And I saw what we were doing at UVA was 2 times. It was more. We were continually building our team, looking for clients. The more we grew, the more our revenue grew, the more the noise grew, the more the admin grew. And I wanted something more. I wanted to work with less clients with a smaller team, but do more good. So that's what our 10 times look like.
You know, when you were reading that book, because I've read that book, and I had a change of heart about it, because my perception of 10 times was big gurus online, you know, sitting in jet planes talking about 10 times. And I'm like, oh no, that's so bro marketing. I'm not for it. But then I think I read one of Dan Sullivan's other books first, and what he was talking about made sense to me, and it really resonated with me around the way he was thinking. And so then I went to the 10 times is better than 2 times, and I was like, oh, like it was a pin drop moment when I was like, oh, this is 10 times. This is the concept. And it's nothing like the bro marketers online sitting in their jets, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, it really resonated, because he was saying when you think 10 times bigger, you're being more innovative. You're not just putting a Band-Aid on what's happening. You're completely stepping away and thinking about what would the business look like if I thought differently and I thought out of the box, and I was being more innovative around how I was serving my clients. What was your takeaway from that book? I'm interested in your thoughts.
It was a mind shift from, I think, more to better and simpler. I've been so busy for so many years just on that Ferris wheel. This for me was a chance to get off the wheel and achieve more. Or not achieve more, achieve better. I wanted something different, you know. I didn't want the hustle, but you still need to build a business that's successful, that supports your team, that supports your clients. So how could I do that in a totally different way, and what would that business look like? So we reversed engineered it from there. We looked at our top 20% of clients, the ones that were most profitable, the ones we enjoyed working the most with, the ones where we saw the biggest shift, and that's where we built the lever on. Business operations led support.
That really resonates. Where did the name lever come from in that thinking? You know, as you were thinking through, what does this look like? How can this be different? I'm done with the hustle. Where did the name the lever come out?
So another one of Dan Sullivan's books is Who Not How. And we're not brand experts. So I reached out to my network and found Rebrand, a fantastic team who helped us go through the whole rebranding exercise. And in the end, they threw in this name from our Your VA weekly newsletter, was called The Lever. And they said, what about this? And we were like, oh my God, that's it. So we went through this big exercise, but we ended up with a brand that we knew was the right fit. We are the levers, and we want our clients to get leverage.
Well, and also knowing the right levers to pull at the right time and how hard.
Yeah.
Because I think that's it
Absolutely.
too when you get to that point, right? And you're thinking you've got a 10 times mindset. So it's not about pulling levers randomly, and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
It's really knowing.
And we're quite intentional about that. So when we work with a new client, we'll do a 90-day roadmap, and we work in 90-day cycles so that we are pulling the levers on their 3 to 5 biggest pain points or roadblocks. It's very it helps to have someone outside come. You're a coach, to listen to what the problems are and give that fresh pair of external eyes. I've really benefited from it. And sometimes you can't see what's next to you, especially when you're in the weeds. You need to pause, step back and go, okay, what's actually not working?
Yeah. So on that, like when you began redesigning the business and moving into the lever, what anchored you in those moments where everything felt uncertain, uncomfortable, you were too close to the business? What anchored you at those times and allowed you to keep moving forward?
Two big things. One, I really struggled shifting from manager to lever. I'd built Your VA, it was my baby. And while I recognized I was the bottleneck and I didn't want to be the bottleneck, there was still that pride in being needed and knowing everything. And so when we had the structure to remove me as the bottleneck, for the first time in like 20 years, I was like, where am I needed? Where is my value? What should I be doing? That was really hard. So talking to that tough time, I reached out to Deborah, our EOS implementer, and I said, hey, I'm really struggling in this leadership role. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know where my value is. I'm hating it. And she really helped me through that. So I thought, you remove yourself from the bottleneck, you have the team, you have the structure and the systems, and problems solved. But that's just one step of the journey. So yes, reaching out for external support, no bullshit, not a pat on your back kind of thing, but real solid. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to be doing. And also my leadership team. It took me it took me about a year to get the right team. And when I did that, my defensiveness dropped. I trust my team. We have the hardest conversations, but we always do it with laughter and fun and yeah, and it works. But trust in your team. And I know it with clients we work with, it takes a while. And we don't come in aggressive, you need to change this, you need to change that, because we're dealing with their baby. And so trust is huge.
Talking about, taking 12 months to build your leadership team.
I'm a slow learner.
That's a hard process because there is recruitment is not an easy process. And sometimes you don't learn everything that you need to know during the recruitment process, regardless of how many rounds of shortlisting and interviewing and questions and assessments I don't think you still get to really know the person that's come in. So talk to us a little bit more around that journey of building the leadership team, the learnings that you had, where you fell over in order to get to the point where you're like, great, this is an amazing leadership team.
That's a big question.
It is.
I had two challenges. The first one was your VA was built on a model of me and billable contractors. So like most founders, I'm very cash flow conscious, and I had hesitation in investing in that leadership. It took me a little while to see the value, because I was so full of myself and thought, I know everything about my business. I don't need a leadership team. So that in itself took a while, and I built the team gradually, one step at a time. I started with Sue, our business operations manager. Then I brought in finance and an experience manager. I hired internally. So I was lucky that I already had a pool of people who I saw being able to complement me. But I did make some wrong moves and ignored my instincts for those wrong moves, thinking it was a me problem, thinking, oh, this is just me struggling to let go, or, I need to stay out of that pie because it's not my pie anymore. In hindsight, I wish I'd have listened to my instincts. But now I have the right people in the right roles, and all that has gone. So we are more because we have a leadership team. Personally, I'm accountable. I feel supported. I don't feel like I'm leading alone, which is huge. But they bring their areas of expertise to complement mine. And we've grown so much because of that when I think about the Your VA journey.
A couple of things that I wanted to touch on in that, and I'll come back to the other one, but thinking about the shift from your VA to the leaver, was it easier to put a leadership team in place when you redesigned the business model rather than trying to evolve your VA because it was, the business that you built? So thinking about, you headed that business and it was just a pool of contractors to do the work. Whereas coming into the lever, and this is what I've just picked up as you've been talking to me, is it's a whole different business model and you've thought about it differently from the get-go. So did that make it easier to bring in that leadership team?
No, the business team we'd established with your VA, and when we started the lever, like I said, I thought we were just rebranding ourselves, just a rename.
Right.
I thought we'd be able to pull over some of our clients from your VA, and I thought our team would automatically come over. That hasn't been the case, as we have. Now we know that we help female founders. That's our sweet spot. Right. I know now that it's not just about bringing in a business operations manager. It's about a framework on how we can support women at different stages in their journey. So to answer your question, the whole thing has been a bit of an evolution and a journey. if I'd have known then what I know now, I don't think I would have done it differently. I think it had to be open-minded and to get really focused the more women we talked to and the more we learned. So I might not have answered your question that well, Sandra.
No, that makes sense, because, you know, you had that leadership team in there and then it evolved. What did that evolution look like for your leadership team? Not just you as the founder, but taking a leadership team from one business model into the other. So not just a rebrand, but how you do business, who you work with. Sounds like me that changed at the same time.
The leadership team, we had the right leadership team in place by then, I
Right.
think. In terms of the team, that's been a really tough one. Because like I said, originally I thought the team would just swap over, but as we've learnt more about how we best serve, both internally and externally, we now work with partners. We don't call our team contractors, they're partners. We expect them to operate at this level, to step up, to not come forward with questions, but solutions. And this is very much a team journey. And some of the team we had at UVA were absolutely fantastic at UVA, but they're not partners. And they're not interested in being partners. So that's been the tough one for me. Team members that we've had for 10 years, just as our paths have gone in different directions, like letting that go. Yeah.
That's the hard piece, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I've kind of, but I'm cool that I've done it the right way. I've done it because I care about them, because it's the right thing for them. They have gone with my support, and sometimes I've gone on. They're working directly with the clients that they had under UVA, because those clients might not have been a fit for the lever either. So I've done my best to make sure that they're supported going forward. And part of EOS and part of how I hope I've grown as a leader is not bury my head in the sand when I needed to make decisions for the company, not putting emotion first, still being values led, but doing right.
I heard you say that you would have lost clients along the way, you know, as well as team members, because they're not fit for how you're serving clients now. You've also lost clients along the way. That would have been difficult as a business owner.
Yeah. So we've still kept UVA running in tandem because we've needed that revenue. The lever is effectively now a startup. But we haven't put any effort into bringing new clients into UVA. And some of those clients, like I said, where they're a better fit working directly with the VAs that we had, we've helped that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's a point, you know, for everyone to take note of, that it wasn't just we're going from here to here, and that means we're losing staff, we're losing clients, and we're moving into this new model. There's been a transition period.
Yeah. It would have been easier if it had been, okay, we're winding up your VA. The book 10 times talks about, okay, all your focus needs to be on this, and that hasn't been possible, but it's the real world. So, and when we decided to create the lever, like I said, that looked very different to what it is now.
Okay.
I'm so excited, Sandra, about what this is now. Yeah, this gives women hope back, life back, control back, businesses that they fall in love with again. Yeah. I wish I'd have had it. And I'm not saying that from a salesy point of view, but from seeing my struggles, I wish I'd have had that leadership support.
And that's really what you're providing now, is more leadership support, rather than just task support.
Yeah. Leadership support where we'll roll up our sleeves and we become part of their teams and work with them.
Yeah. I want to go back to a point that you said where you didn't trust your instinct because there was this unsureness around, is it a pie I should be in? Okay. And you were learning to step away, but your instinct still said that you should have a finger in that pie. Like, talk to me about that feeling of your instinct saying, put your focus here, but then the brain saying, no, like, this is me learning to be the new leader. And there's this polarity and this push-pull between both of those things. Talk to me a bit more about how you managed your way through that.
That's probably the hardest thing. I think that comes from growing into your role as a leader and having confidence, and I didn't at that point. I was still struggling in that I'm a manager, but I shouldn't be. Everyone's telling me I shouldn't be, If we need to take the business forward, I need to step into a visionary role. In hindsight, if I had of listened to my instincts, I would have saved a lot of grief, for want of a better word. Both for myself, and it held the team back. Yeah. And without, I'm not, it's not a blame game. It was the right person, a couple of people in the wrong seats. Yeah. I don't know that I've answered that very well.
It's a hard question, right?
Yeah.
I suppose what I'm trying to get at is, what is your advice for someone, for another founder and business owner who is in that place where they're trying to make the transition into their next role, and it could be going from doer to manager before they go from manager to leader or visionary. There's multiple stages in where we are at in our business, but in each elevation and evolution that we take in our business, there is this push-pull moment between stepping out and the instinct saying that this needs to be adjusted so I can step out.
And it's that internal friction or tension. It's either because you're uncomfortable moving forward, and if so, look at why you're uncomfortable moving forward, or it's a problem, like you said, that something needs to be addressed. My biggest bit of advice, and what helped me, was to talk to someone outside your team, someone you trust who has the experience and skills to listen to you and give you a fresh pair of eyes on that problem. That's what helped me. And that then gives you the confidence to go, no, this is not me being a micromanager or the bottleneck, or, it's actually a problem and I need to change something or have a conversation. But I needed that external reinforcement before I could then go, actually, yeah, this is a problem. And I went and had the conversations.
Great.
Yeah.
And that right there is why I've moved into being a coach, because it's what goes on in your head as the business owner that has always got you second guessing yourself,
Yeah.
or not, stepping into a role you shouldn't be in versus making the transition. And when you have a coach and you can present these ideas through them, the coach, what I love about coaching is I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to guide you through what you already know.
Yeah. And to ask the right questions so that they get the right answers.
Yeah.
That's a coach.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I love, being a coach, because there are so many moments in business, and it doesn't matter whether you've been in business for a year or 25 years, there's always an evolution. There's always a growth. And if there's not a growth, then you're stagnant.
Yeah. And you'd think, I can remember thinking this years ago, I think when I was first shifting from freelancer to building my VA team, I can remember thinking, surely there's some stage where you go, oh, my business is done, it's working, I'm good at it, I've got my systems, it's done, it can now go on and do its thing. But like you say, it's if you don't change, you cease to become relevant. And change is where you get your personal growth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've developed this little belief, I suppose, and it's not little, is that your business will grow at the pace that you, as the business owner, grow.
Yeah, definitely. And I've grown more in these last 18 months, 2 years, when we have been, it's been such a journey, building the lever, than I think in the last 5 years at your VA. Because we were changing, tech changes, clients need change, that kind of thing, but nothing 10 times. That's been exciting. Like, what's possible?
Yeah, right? What
Yeah.
is possible when we
Yeah.
have the space to think differently? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
think that's really hard, especially when you're in the hustle mode of your business. And there is hustle moments for sure in a business, but the hustle is a season, not a business.
Yeah. And I think to be really aware that it's a different thought process, isn't it? Looking forward, leading, protecting the vision and building the vision, to managing your business and being reactive, and but both are needed, but not by the founder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And yeah, I would even say every founder needs to be, like you say, the doer, then the manager, then the leader. You need to go through that journey to learn. I know there's quite a bit of talk about, you should delegate and, you shouldn't be the doer. I think there's a season for it.
Yeah.
But I also think you need to recognise when that season comes to an end, because those transitions are where you can get the burnout or where your business folds.
That's a great way to look at that, Justine, is those moments where you need to evolve are pivotal as to whether your business continues to grow and evolve or starts to lose its traction and is no longer relevant, and then close doors.
Or your business gets the better of you.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you just can't carry on.
Yeah, we talk to founders, and it both breaks my heart and it fills me with, this is why we're doing what we're doing. But when you get someone, in tears saying, I just feel broken, I don't know if we're fixable. And it's like, it's not you. It's your business structure has evolved. It needs something more than it was getting, whether that's systems, whether that's an operating system, whether that's team or elements of all of that. But I do not like women feeling like they can't do this or it's their fault. It's not. And that's where the last couple of years have fundamentally driven what we're doing now.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what does leading with clarity and calmness and margin look like for you in this stage of life?
It means having a business that works for me, not because of me. It's being able to go on holiday a lot because I deserve it. It's being able to have weekends off and have a personal life and have hobbies. It's being able to start every day with a walk along the beach with Bailey to set my head right for the day. It's calm and clarity is a better business equals a better life, and vice versa. A better life equals a better business. So they're the margins. I always ask new clients I meet what success looks like for them, and the women I love include the personal element. And someone last week said to me, so what does success look like for you? And I was like, whoa, you're asking me that question. And I thought about it and I said, you know what? Personally, I am successful. I'm happy. I live in a community I adore. I get to go on holidays and spend quality time with my family. I'm happy. Professionally, I've got a little way to go because we need to get the lever out there so we can help women. But yeah, that's my calm and my clarity and my margins.
And how would that
we
compare?
All deserve.
Yeah, we all deserve it.
We all
how would that compare
do.
to Justine, even 10 years ago?
You'll get this as a woman, right? As a woman, and not every woman, but a lot of women, you've got where you fit in the hierarchy. For me, it was my business. I was trying to grow a business to help support our family. It was my husband. So I was a business owner. I was a wife. I was a mum. I was a friend. Me came right down. And even talking to some of my team the other day, same thing. As women, we prioritize ourselves down there. I've forgotten the question.
I was like, how does your life now
10 years
contrast
ago.
to you 10 years ago? Yeah.
So that analogy, the hierarchy, I value where I prioritize myself, and in doing that, I better serve my family and my business and my friends. I'm not saying I'm selfish, but I'm saying personal wellness and happiness. It's got a snowball effect. It touches everyone that you touch, whether it's people that you work with or work for, or, Justine, 10 years ago, my marriage was really rocky. I had problems with my daughter. I was just feeling so up to the head, and you turn up for business and you just get swamped with questions, swamped with problems. Got to onboard this new client, got to have a one-on-one with one of your team. It was all just being thrown at me. Yeah. So, and I'm not perfect. I still, I get stressed about stuff, and I might have a fight with my husband, but all in all, I'm happy. Because I've created what I need to support that.
That's such a lesson in itself, Justine, around how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
When we prioritize ourselves and we're able to think differently about how our business is serving us, other aspects of our life also start to change.
Yeah.
For the better.
Yeah. And I think that clarity, for me, it's come with age. I love being over 50. I love being confident in who I am and what my values are and how I want to show up for the world. Me 10 years ago had no friggin' idea. I was
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I know, it really is.
So, just in that piece alone, Justine, that is such huge growth. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for sharing that. Just in this 10-year picture around how life has changed for you, and you have done the work to change the life that you had for everyone around you. So yes,
with
you
the
changed your
help,
business.
with the help of the people around me.
Yes. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I couldn't have done this by myself.
At
I've
home or at work.
reached out to you for a catch up from time to time. I reach out to people now when I need help.
Yeah. Would you mind talking a little bit about, home life running parallel to business? I know I haven't asked you this question, and this might be putting you on the spot a little bit, and you can say no. But, given that last piece that we just talked about, we brought in that wider picture of it. It's not just about being the leader in your business, but how life has changed for everything around you. Your marriage is in a better place than it was 10 years ago. Your relationship with your daughter is in a better place than it was 10 years ago. Your relationship with yourself is in a better place than it was. Can we talk about that evolution?
I think I've told you. Have I told you about that?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I think the moment for me was, I used to think, oh, that'll happen tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. I'll take weekends off when I get this project done, or when we get tomorrow. And I've realized tomorrow is a gift. It's not a given, and I don't want any regrets. So I think I've shared the story with you. My dad, I loved my dad. He was a builder and he worked hard, but we had the best childhood. He gave us his time. And he just turned 60, and they'd bought a farm outside of Whangarei, and he was finally able to retire from building, and he was doing firewood and they were farming cattle, and he was so happy. And then he got leukemia, and within a year he'd passed. And it was at that stage that Rick and I moved out of the city, out here to Orewa Point. We thought, let's not count on tomorrow being here. Let's design a life that works for today. So Dad's passing was a real trigger, and that's been a catalyst for how we live our life now. We'd always wanted to move out of the city, but we kept putting off, until Tara leaves school, until we're mortgage free, all those kind of things. And we made the decision, and we were lucky, it all worked out. But if I want anyone listening to this to take anything away from what I've learned, it's not to, tomorrow is a gift, make today count, and start designing your life to support that. No regrets. So I don't know if that answered you. I keep saying I don't know if that answered your question, because I tend to go off on a rabbit hole, but that's been one of my biggest life lessons. Hard work is so important, but it's got to be balanced.
Yeah. I kind of say everyone gets to that point. I know I've been at that point, when we lost our mum, that was my trigger point.
Catalyst. Yeah.
It was my catalyst for discovering who I am. Like when you lose that one person, when you lose that backbone who has always been there to stand you up and give you the confidence in the world to go and do whatever the shit you want, and then that person's no longer there, you're like, what? Now what? So that you took that as the gift to make change in your life so you have no regrets, and my observation is that's spilt over into your business.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, thank God for my dad.
Absolutely.
I love him immensely, and like your mum, I'm sure that they're proud of what we're achieving.
Yeah, for sure. So there's another thing on my mind that's really intriguing me too, is you've come so far, and you can see it in your life and in your business, and you've been super intentional. But what have you learnt about letting go in a way that doesn't compromise your standards, your value, and your identity as an owner?
To work with the right people who help build your culture, to trust your instincts. If you've built something successful or building something successful, you're doing stuff right. So have the confidence to take risks. And do the hard work, build the structure, build the systems, do whether it's you doing it or you bring in someone that actually likes doing it, because it's not me. But yeah, having the structure so that if someone leaves, you're not pulled in to cover them. It's not that swings and roundabouts kind of thing. Have your IP, especially now in this AI age, have your IP, but more so your secret sauce, what makes you special, have it woven into how you and your team show up to work. So structure, systems, right team, and to keep learning. Read a book, listen to a podcast, go to workshops, talk to people. Oh, actually, my biggest failing is talking when I should be listening. So I should say listen to people.
I love that acknowledgement.
Yeah, I'm shit. I said to Marg in our weekly leadership team meetings, because I can tend to like jump in and this is the solution and I've got to get it out because I'm worried I'll forget it. And Marg's got like the secret Zoom gesture when I need to shut up and listen.
Oh, that's so valuable when the team can just kind of go.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. I promised. Yeah. Yeah. What does Simon Sinek say? Leaders eat last. Yeah,
yes.
I'm learning.
Yes. So, what I've got from our kōrero today is the lever is still evolving. You're still growing into that business. But thinking about the lever in 5 years' time, what does the lever represent for you beyond a business model? Let me say that a different way, is what part of your legacy is being shaped through the lever that you are evolving?
I don't want to use a sexist term, but because I hate all this sexist, ageist kind of talk, but I would say female empowerment. I want, well, the team I work with, they have the control of their financial future. They have the ability to put their family first, to design a life that works for them. In terms of our legacy, I want women who run businesses to feel supported, to feel confident, to, like I say, build businesses that work for them, not because of them. My legacy is for women to show up for themselves, and in doing that, build better businesses and have more of an impact. You think about, like, years ago, I had to work both part-time and full-time while I was building your VA. And the pressure on, like, my daughter hated holiday programs, but she had to go because I had to work. I never had a boss who was like, oh, yeah, take this holiday off, you can work evenings. What we're doing gives women choices, and that affects our families and everyone that we're in contact with. So that's my legacy.
And to put that into
context, 100 words.
But to put that into context, working with females to empower them, I don't think of as ageist. In a business context, I think of as niche. Like, we can work with many different people, but business always gets more focused and is able to have a bigger impact when you choose a niche. And that niche, I've got a little bit of a problem with that word, but the idea of deciding the group of people that you want to have the most impact on, and that could be determined by age, by gender, by non-gender, by sector, by industry, by location, by product. It can be a many different things. So, yeah. I don't think of it as sexist or ageist, but in thinking about what are the group of people that I can have the most impact on, and if that is female business owners, great.
It was more the word female empowerment. Empowerment, I think, can tend to get used in the wrong way. We never had a niche for your VA. And we didn't have one when we started out with the lever. It was to help founders. But the more we designed how we show up, the more we are most passionate about helping women because we're women. When our newsletter went out last week, one of our old clients, a dear man, phoned me and he said, "Am I still allowed to work with you or am I the wrong sex?" And I said, "No, we haven't turned into feminists or anything like that. You know me." I said, but being clear on who we best serve means we can talk directly to them and design something directly for them. It doesn't mean that we're going to turn away work. We're not stupid, but yeah, we know who we serve best.
That's great clarity. But, also want to come back to the lever, not the lever, your VA. I would say your niche was determined by the services that you offered. So you attracted a group of people according to the services, so I think of niche, and I really need to find a different word than that, is really determined by not just a gender or an age or a demographic. It can be determined by services, products, and how that best works. When you were in your VA, did you notice that you were attracting people who were at a certain phase of their personal journey needing that virtual assistant support as compared to the business journey, which could have been quite different sized and varied?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
They were so diverse. I think if we attracted a certain type of person, it would have been a person that had hit that roadblock where they knew they needed more hands.
Yes.
Whether that's to get a landing page done or, build a website or take over their inbox. Something had normally happened where they realize, I can't keep doing this by myself. I need more hands.
See, and I call that a niche.
I'm a slow learner, Sandra.
Oh, fun. Justine, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing your journey, sharing the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the personal aspect, and the benefits that your life has as a whole is seeing because of your growth and evolution into this next phase of what your business is.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. I've got one last question for you.
This question, one?
maybe. So this question is a new segment. When I rebranded the podcast, I have this new segment, and it is about paying it forward. So the previous podcast guest will leave a question for the next guest who they don't know who it is. So the questions aren't designed for you, other than we know that my guests on this podcast are all wahine. So the question that got left for you, unbeknownst to them, is, where do you want to show up more fully in your life right now?
It's really hard. I would say outside of my comfort zone. So podcasts, you're comfortable because I know you and I respect you so much. But yeah, showing up to help get our message out there. So making those strategic partnerships, doing those podcast appearances, being uncomfortable. So that was a pretty good question.
It was a really good question. And growth comes from the discomfort.
Yes, hopefully.
Oh,
I've been very discomfortable the last couple of years and absolutely loving it. Can I just say, if I can give ourselves a wee plug, if anyone resonates with themselves on hearing my story, if you pop over to our website, we've got like a leadership quiz to help you see which stage of your journey you're at and what the simplest shift is to take that first step. So yeah, go to thelever.co.nz and I'd love you to take our quiz.
Love that. Might go and take that myself just for the fun of it.
Oh, I know what kind of leader you are.
Justine, I will also include
You're
those.
a damn good one, so thank you.
So I'll put all the links to that quiz, the links to your website, all in the show notes. People can also come follow you on social media. What platform? I think I know, but what platform do you hang out most on social media?
Oh, the only one I hang out on is LinkedIn. I don't have much time for the Facebook game.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll find me on LinkedIn.
Fabulous.
Justine Parsons.
Nice. Love that. Thank you so much for your time, for this conversation. Be willing to go behind the curtain that's behind the door that is locked, because we went some places that may have felt a little uncomfortable on a public platform like a podcast. But I appreciate you sharing your journey, because these are the moments where we all feel like we're not alone, when we can hear somebody else's story, somebody else's challenges, and not the highlights reel. Now we are building our confidence. Now we are seeing what's going on for us because it's being reflected in other leadership journeys that we are experiencing. So
I love that.
I love you so much, and I appreciate all that you share. This is going to be so valuable.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me tell my story, and for doing it in such a comfortable place.
You're welcome.
You're the best.
I'm wishing you all of the best as you build the lever into, the business that I know it can be, and you are serving women in such a valuable way that will leave such a strong impact. I am taking my hat off to you for making that move. So all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Wahine. If today's kōrero resonated with you, inspired you, or made you stop and think, I'd love for you to follow the show and share it with another wahine in business. You'll find all of the links and details from this episode in the show notes. So until next time, keep building your business your way, grounded in who you are and the legacy you're here to create. The podcast music is Te Kawa o Rongo by Ngāneko Eriwata. The episode is edited by LJS Creative Services, and the show notes and blog post are written by Bellbird Writing.